Thank you, Cora and Vadym. We will continue the discussion, not so much on the physical part, which was quite a gloomy picture, and it's really confronting us with what is happening there. And in the session before the break, it was discussed, should we have clean energy, or was that the most important priority? When you see these pictures, green is important, but it's even more important to get things up and running, and you did a marvelous job in doing that. And of course, from a physical protection, what we all learn is put the lock on your door, put the lock on your substations, that nobody get in. But the other part is, how do you do that from remote with cybersecurity? And we're going to discuss that with the panel. So may I introduce my co-panelists. We have Felipe, Florian, and Andrus. So what we'll do, we'll let them introduce themselves briefly. From my part, why am I here? Business Director of Digital Grid Operations. Now we're here on the Power Summit, but the power doesn't go anywhere if there's no grid, and the grid needs to be controlled. So we handle, and we have the expertise on the smart metering, the digital substations, SCADA, all the data, the grid operations. And this digitization of the grid does not go without this cybersecurity. And we're going to discuss it with our different panelists. Florian, if you can introduce yourself briefly and get your expectations, what we will discuss.
Yeah, my name is Florian. I work for a company called Intertrust Technologies. We are a Silicon Valley-based data security and data interoperability company. And I will be talking about threats that stem from distributed energy resources, DERs.
Okay, thank you. Andrus, you're next.
Hello, my name is Andrus Durejko, coming from Estonian Energy Group. And I'm going to cover parts of digitalization of a grid and energy supply aspects, and also with Ukraine, we have a common neighbor.
Yeah, thank you. And then Felipe, completely different view.
Thank you. So I'm Felipe Castro. I work for the European Commission in the area of security and safety of supply, and in particular in the area of cybersecurity. So for me today is a bit more on an overview on EU legislation, needs to network code on cybersecurity for electricity and this type of things.
Very good. We'll start with Florian. DER, distributed energy resources, and why is that important to cyber protect?
Yeah, it's a little bit hard to talk about after what we just saw from the physical side, to be honest. I think from my perspective, the rise of DERs like solar, batteries, heat pumps, electric cars will increase the risk of such attacks exponentially. And why is that? Because it's very simple. The attack surface is just increasing massively, because all of these new IoT devices, like a car or a heat pump or an inverter, rooftop solar, and so on, are an entry point into a data stream that feeds the energy systems. And as these entry points increase with every renewable asset, the entry points into the energy data system are increasing. And that is exactly the threat we see, so that malicious actors, nation state or private actors start to manipulate the data that these devices are generating. It's maybe less that an actor tries to switch on and off a substations. I learned that this has been tried also in the war, but it actually didn't work out, so they had to send all these missiles. So it's really the manipulation of data that concerns us. And we think that the energy industry therefore needs additional protection regarding very sophisticated cyber attacks. And with the hyperconnectivity and dynamic networks, the network security solutions that are currently deployed are just not good enough. And we heard this morning from Leo Birnbaum that he's a big advocate for more AI in the energy system, and that's great. We support that. You might not be surprised if a Silicon Valley person shows up that we like AI, but the issue is that this AI is fueled with data. Without data, AI is completely meaningless. So to orchestrate the energy system, we need AI to keep energy affordable and to keep the stability. So the AI will rely on secure and trusted data. And what we propose is that the industry gets together and agrees on so-called zero trust principles in security. And a small advertisement from mine, so that's why some industry participants have created a standards organization which is trying to achieve that. So that's the perspective from my end.
So in the EU now, since some years now, but especially in the 2020 with the revamp of the NIS 2, there is an overarching cybersecurity framework in terms of legislation. No? And the idea there has been to put the emphasis in three main aspects, but building capabilities in the member states, sharing information, and coordinating when there are crises, when there are incidents. So this is the overarching policy. Now, when we go down to sectorial, and energy is one of them, then we need to understand how to put that in operation, how to make that something that entities can work on, that can collaborate with each other in a way that is efficient for them, efficient and feasible. And this is also the area where we are working together with the industry in terms of creating what is a network code, in this case on cybersecurity for electricity, for cross-border flows of electricity. And the idea here is a set of rules agreed by experts in the industry, in the sector, and to create this set of rules for the experts in the sector, for the industry, for the authorities, so that we can exchange quickly, that we can perform those risk assessments that will identify which are the critical processes when we are operating cross-border flows of electricity, for example, which are the assets that are enabling those processes, and then based on that identify which are the entities, which are the measures that they have to put in place, this baseline of security measures, and then moving from prevention to detection, how to react to incidents when they happen, to crises, how to liaise with the authorities in cybersecurity, union-wide and at the member state level. So this is a bit, the idea is to have this puzzle in a way that it works together without putting duplicities, but also making it somehow efficient.
I'd like to go to Andrus. And now you heard about the DER, you heard about there's rules that you can comply to. How does that work for you?
Yeah, it's always good to have rules and regulations supporting it. However, looking at the grid perspective, and also I do have a small or even long experience from mobile industry. It means that actually we are adding constantly by digitalization compute power throughout the grid, and this compute power really is not sitting in a safe environment. It's actually between forest and bushes, and you don't really know what's happening, and that's also. But of course, that's physical perimeter in order to get your prevention and things in place. Also, looking procedures and having been ready for preventing. And also, like based on Ukrainian experience, it's important to be ready also for recovery. It means that you invest, you prevent, you monitor, but still things can happen, and also this part needs to be ready in daily operations.
If you look at the efforts that we have been putting on the prevention and then the monitoring of cybersecurity and how we can support industry to have a contingency planning and the testing and the recovery. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think we still focus too much on prevention and monitoring. It's very important that we do so, but in the same time, like the other panelists already mentioned, there is no such thing as 100% security. So in the end, you always have to be prepared for the worst. So contingency planning should, for me, be the top priority, and of course the pen testing, etc. You should also do that, and the monitoring is important. But in the end, you know, things will happen, at a certain moment, and what do you do then? You have to, and it doesn't have to be a 500 pages manual. You actually have to know and try and test and see what happens as if you have a blackout. What do you actually do? Do the people know where to go to? Where are the right people to speak to? At the practical things, every test that companies do, it's always shocking.
Yeah. So Vadym, now we've been talking a bit and you've been experiencing some cybersecurity parts as well. Yeah, you're hooked up, you have a mic.
What is the question, sorry?
No, so first you talked about physical and then you said, okay, I'll explain a bit how we're now prepared on the cyber part, because probably you're the most attacked from cyber point of view.
Okay, I'm not very good at cybersecurity, right? So just I even cannot protect my own computer from time to time. I mean my personal computer, not the company computer. But you mentioned this very famous story. I think it was even on Wired magazine about the 2014-2015 malware attack on Ukrainian power grid. It's even before the full-scale invasion, right? Yeah. And you mentioned that, and you're absolutely right. So we've been saved by very old technology. Just, pick up the phone, not the cell phone, just, these old wired, phones which most of you even don't have right now in your home, right? I have it. I bought one when the war starts, and I just realized that I need more than cellular communications, so I'm very well prepared right now. So yeah, we've been saved by this technology because the dispatch people, they just talk to each other by these old ancient phones, right? So my advice is don't put in a garbage this pigeon mail, if you will, right? So pigeons could save your power grid when the hard times will come, right? So, but on a serious note, I must say that Ukraine right now is very well prepared for the cybersecurity attack, thanks to our cooperation with Europe and United States cybersecurity specialists. Yeah, we've been prepared because we have a lot of renewables right now, and I agree completely. The renewables is probably the most vulnerable part because they need to talk to each other, right? So just I don't know details, but even if I do know details, I would never tell you. Sorry. Okay.
From the anomaly detection point of view, and then we have all this software that we have to add, in a way making it more vulnerable, and then we have a security monitoring system making more connections to the system. Also another vulnerability, if they break into the security monitoring, they have access to everything. Is that a threat from your point of view?
Yes, absolutely. And I think especially if you look to OT environments, OT sounds like a little bit boring. So these are really devices, sensors in the field that generate a lot of data, and this is where the whole data journey really starts. And this is also where the threat and the risk starts. And one of the challenges that also links to the AI topic is that we have to make more use of this data also in the IT world, so in clouds or in data centers or higher up the data value chain. And that's called OT-IT convergence. And that is a very, very big risk problem that the industry is facing, because the way this is being addressed today is that you isolate the OT, we call this air gapping, from the IT world. So this gives a certain level of security because things are isolated, they don't use the internet and so on and so forth. We have data access mechanisms and security, but this isolation is not feasible for the future. So, and of course the speed of innovation is an issue. So the security technology that's being invented in Silicon Valley, but also in many other places like in Israel and so on, is so fast that you really need to have people that are following what's going on. And of course, we also have malicious actors that are very innovative and very progressive in coming up with new things all the time. So from our perspective, there needs to be a very close collaboration in the whole energy ecosystem. So operators, utilities, technology developers, hardware vendors, software vendors, to raise the overall level, especially in the EU and in the United States and geographies that are friendly to us.
One thing that we did not cover, it was not really in our preparations, but we did discuss it briefly, it's the data. because this whole grid digitalization is about automating the grid, because the only way to automate or to run everything in its capacity, in the past we just put in 2-3 times the grid that we needed, and then we always had some spare, and now we have to run everything until the max, and maybe over that, but that means that you have to have fast automation on all levels. So more data coming in, and how do we know that this data is still the right data? And that was one of the discussions we also had, and the AI, if the AI gets manipulated data, it's going to give us wrong decisions to support us. And this is something that is happening in the universities at this moment. For instance, in Delft, Control Room of Future, they're really looking into what happens. Can we see if there's data manipulated? How does that impact the modeling? And how does that impact decision making? So in one way it's scary, in the other way we're doing our best to get that better organized. Maybe to ask our panelists, if you now have this whole discussion, do you feel that we're going in the right direction? I'll start with Cora.
We're going in the right direction, but we're going very slowly. I think we should step up the pace and just start doing it. I always say it to children in schools, etc. Once you go tech, you never go back. So just get started.
Yeah, Vadym.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that Ukraine is going into the right direction. We are on the counter-offense, which is the east and south. That was a joke. And speaking about the right direction, so just, well, I'm afraid only one thing, right? So that after our victory, you guys steal all of our energy employees with the 6-digit salaries, because the practical experience they have on the cybersecurity and the physical protection I would say, side is incredible. It's not an advertising, of course, so I'm really afraid of that, because we probably lost our best employees after the victory. 2 years.
But then we need to have another support program.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or we're learning Ukraine to work with them.
Absolutely.
Felipe.
I think as well that we are going in the right direction. I think compared to some years ago, the maturity and the awareness that all organizations, and including from private and public and citizens and organizations, is much higher. So I think that we are all there. And what I think we need to do as well is to learn what has happened in digitalization in other sectors as well. So to make sure that in energy, we take advantage of what has been already there, because others went through the journey already.
Andrus.
Yes, it's hard to say right. I think direction is right. I'm following as a person how educational industry is now changing because of ChatGPT, and it's quite interesting journey. Also, on the other hand, our industry is using maybe 94% of the data already available, and even increasing it. It's better to make more use of the data we're collecting, and I think tools here are great help, and definitely we need to do more, because we do have already data, there will be more data, but we need to make better use of it.
Thank you. Florian?
Yeah, on a scale of 0 to 10 regarding the right direction, I would give us a 6.5 maybe. So that means there is, I think, quite a significant amount of improvement possible. And I think it's one point of criticism from my end is the vision and how much we look forward. And this decentralized world will come quicker as we all anticipate today. The risk associated with this will come very quicker, and we will see hacks, we will see blackouts in Europe and in other places of the world, and we need to do something now to stop that.
Thank you, Florian.